Live, welcome everybody, we're live. Hey everybody, my name's Dan Latter, hope you're well today. So I wanted to give you an update on our Spanish lockdown. We've not done this for a while actually, we're now on day 20. So we've literally been in the house for the last 20 days. We've been around the house on our own land, we have some land around the house, but we've not actually left the front gate. I know we're doing it differently in the UK, everybody seems to have taken up jogging in the UK. People who've never ran in their lives are suddenly fitness people going out jogging to the park. It's quite funny. And when I say it's quite funny, it's only funny in that you guys are going to be in lockdown for even longer than we are. We're on day 20. I reckon we've got until at least the middle of April, at least. And actually, I would expect towards the end of April, we'll start lifting some of the limitations that we've got in terms of going out and social distancing and so on. But we literally, nobody's allowed out, nobody's allowed on the street, you get stopped by the police, you get questioned by the police, and you get fined by the police, which for me is exactly how it should be. One of the good bits that, from our point of view, that we're very happy about is that because we're on day 20, it means none of us have got the virus. And for us, that's kind of a sigh of relief. And while we can go to the supermarket, it is not our intention whatsoever to leave the front gate until the lockdown is lifted. Simply not our intention. We've got to this stage at day 20 where we absolutely know none of us have got it. I don't think anyone's ever had it after 20 days. And so we're very fortunate for that. And we want to make sure that we continue that. We don't want to go to the supermarket, then to come back and begin to panic and wonder and stress and become anxious. Have we got it? Can I pick it up in some way? So that's why we're literally not leaving the house. So I've got a couple of things to run through here. I'll run through them. We'll take about 5 or 10 minutes. If you've got any questions or comments, just let me know. Living my best life, who's watching on Periscope, says they agree. Living our best lives while cooped up. So it's a 3-week milestone, which we're very grateful for. Getting 21 days tomorrow. We're like, every day seems to take ages, but the last 3 weeks have been like a blur. They've gone really fast. The first week, everybody was at home and there was no home teaching. And then weeks 2 and 3, my wife is usually here teaching her class and I'm teaching our 5-year-old. We kind of stopped doing the homeschooling official stuff that we were getting from school and we turned it into me teaching the 5-year-old various bits and bats. Some of it was quite interesting. She's 5, so we're doing letters. We stick 3 words on a board and she makes a story using those 3 words. So we are trying to make it as interesting as possible. So Living My Best Life's got a question. How are you getting food if you're not going to the store? Glad you asked me that question. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago, when people were calling me crazy, mad, tinfoil hat, I was stocking up because I could see what was happening. And I'm the sort of person that gets information from all sorts of different places and then I make up my own decision. I try not to listen to what other people tell me, but I do listen to what they think, and then I get the bits that I think I agree with, and then I make my own decision from that. And from that, every time we went to the store, we bought extra items. And so when we bought extra items, we put them in the basement, we put them in the freezer. We're stocked full of stuff, and we still, after 3 weeks, we still got a ton of stuff. And so we didn't panic buy, and we didn't empty stores. We just bought, 1 extra box of toilet rolls or 1 extra 4-pack of Coke. And in fact, Coke being Coca-Cola, not the stuff you put in your nose. So the Coca-Cola stuff, actually, we've only got 4 bottles left. That'll last us about 10 days. So that's the stuff we're panicking on. Chocolate, I seem to have turned into a chocolate alcoholic, a chocoholic, I guess. And we might run low on that in the next 10 days. But other than that, we've got some more meat on its way, but we've had home deliveries. And we'll talk about home deliveries in a minute and how difficult it is actually. But we have had some home deliveries. We had a sweet order from the UK for a quarter of, which is very expensive, but they ship from the UK to us, so that stocked up our piles. But we got bread, we froze the bread, and we also put all the foods into date order. And we worked out whether we wanted it or not, that's what we were going to eat on that particular day. So we've wasted nothing. We made a lasagna last night. I think there's still some left. Oh no, but I finished that yesterday morning. So 2 nights ago we made lasagna and I had that for lunch the next day. Yesterday I had pasta with curry sauce, which actually I felt like a student again, which I thought was quite funny. It wasn't the best of meals, but it was like, let's just make some extra stuff last. So yeah, we didn't need to go to a store. We still don't need to go to a store, and that's worked very well. So you're saying I prepared but need some items and got home delivery yesterday. Let's talk about home delivery. So we live in Spain here. We're in a little town just outside of Castillon it's called, and they have home deliveries, but it's Spain. Spain is about 20 years behind everybody else. Health and safety, about 20 years behind. Sexism, about 20 years behind, Online deliveries, about 10 years behind. You can get an online delivery, and you go to a website and you put in all the foods that you want. And we've got about 3 shopping baskets with about €200 worth of food on various shopping supermarket online stores. But when it comes to actually getting a delivery, all the slots are taken, and they only do them up to a week in advance. And so they're all just taken. So we're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning to see if we can get a slot. We'll try 7 a.m. We'll try just after midnight. We're trying all these different things to try and get, trying to see if we can get a delivery. And you're saying, yeah, you sanitised all the items they left at the door. We do exactly the same. So we had some swimming pool chlorine arrive, because one of my tasks this last 3 weeks was to turn our Shrek swamp, which was dark green swimming pool, into a light blue swimming pool. And actually we've done quite well, but we ran out of chlorine. We had the chlorine turn up, and the guy, bangs on the gate. We open the gate, steps back, he puts it down, he steps back, we pick it up. Everyone's at a distance. It's quite interesting. We do no eye contact, because we don't want to look at people in the eye in case we catch it, right? So it's a bit weird. And then we bring the box in. I put it down, I grab a knife, I open up the box, I take out the contents, and I put the box down at the gate, and then I take it, I put it in a bag, and then I come in and I wash my hands, and I even change what I'm wearing. So we are really, really conscious, and just talking about it feels like I've got it on my hands. It feels really weird. So you were saying that you're really nervous, and yeah, when see, this is one of your things. Amazon are doing really well right now, but the poor delivery drivers are having to ship useless dresses to your house that you've ordered from China. And I've seen it on Amazon. The guys are going, will you just stop ordering this crap? Because somebody has to, the supply chain has to get involved. And I think it's increasing risk. So the swimming pool stuff was the last stuff that we needed other than food. And that's literally all we're ordering. And we could do with another camera, but we're not going to order that. We're just going to wait until this is lifted. And I think we need to cut back on the ordering of stuff, because we are putting people at risk. And for me, that's what it's about in terms of trying to reduce that risk. Makes sense. They should cut those items off. It just is, what do you need all this extra stuff for? I think it's just about being a nice human and trying to protect other nice humans, and trying to manage it and look after ourselves. So getting past that 3 weeks, we have had some stuff delivered in terms of online shopping for food, but we're fine. Coca-Cola, for us, we drink a lot of Coca-Cola. I don't know why, but we do. That's our biggest issue. And do you know what? I was having a chat with a friend of mine this morning, and he was taking the piss basically, because he was like, "Oh, have you got no nice drinks left? Oh, that must be so hard." I mean, talk about first world problems. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've still got electricity. I'm going to talk about that in a second, by the way. We've still got electricity, we've still got Netflix, we've still got Disney Plus, we've still got a very fast internet connection, as you can see. It's crazy. And here we are moaning, but we haven't got Coca-Cola left. Do you know what I mean? Very first world problems. So the last couple of days we've had a lot of rain, which makes it difficult on a number of different areas. One is we can't go outside, so we're kind of stuck inside. And so that makes it a bit harder. We've been playing on the trampoline earlier. I've been cleaning the pool. We've been doing like PE outside, playing a little bit of basketball and so on. But when it rains, you can't do that. And that's a bad thing, right? This morning, yesterday morning, it all rolls into one, doesn't it? In the last 2 days, we had one of the guys that works for me here in Spain got a message. He was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, being flooded out, and because all the waters came down from the mountains, really huge amount of water gone into the sewers, and all the sewage has come up, and half of his lounge, like I'm in the kitchen right now, but it's like up to here. Yeah, you can't see it. It's up to here in terms of sewage. All his room is ruined. All his garden is under shit, literally. It's up to halfway on his car. and they've just lost everything. And so, how lucky are we? The rains came and we suffered with it, and we had some leaks downstairs. And we knew that we had some leaks downstairs, so we fixed them to the best of our ability a month ago, and that was about 70 or 80% effective, and it really helped our basement keep a lot drier. In Spain, when it's warm, the houses are great, they keep them cool inside, but when it rains, they are dreadful. And when it's windy, they're dreadful. The windows never fit. We're in a modern house here, he's in a much older house. The windows never fit, they never keep water out, so that can be quite difficult. So we're quite lucky there in terms of what we've had to cope with. But it's like, he stocked up, he had a freezer full of food, the electricity's gone off. Everyone's electricity's gone off, and that's not going back on for quite some time. All that food has gone. So all that money that he spent, buying all that food, all the water in his basement, all the food that he stored elsewhere, that's all gone. And that has to be thrown away. So, I'll get onto that question in a second. So he's now had to go to an apartment, which is a friend of his, who's got a holiday apartment in the centre of Castellón. So he's gone there for a couple of days. And actually, you just asked, what would you suggest to people who didn't prepare? So Graham, he's now in that situation, although he did prepare, but the electricity's gone off because of sewage all over his house. What a nightmare. First you have coronavirus, now you have this, what next? For me, this all started with Kobe Bryant, by the way, passing away in February. And it's like, you think that's bad. Then we get to March, and it's like, oh my gosh, now we're in April, what's next, So Graham is in a situation where, although he did plan very well, that plan's now gone. And I even said to my wife, we've got a zombie shopping list, as I call it, and I've got things on there like kettle, a pan, purification tablets, and I'm looking at this list, and my wife's going, like, do you need all this? And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen if the supply chain stops. That's food and goods. There's a secondary supply chain, which is electricity and water, okay, and gas. And if those stop, all the food in the freezer has to be cooked, or it goes off. What are you going to cook it with? So like those ideas ran through my mind, and people are like, "You're crazy," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, how crazy are we now?" Do you know what I mean? If there's something happens and all the electricity goes off, that crazy now becomes normal, and I just think it's something to kind of understand about being prepared. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And as we move forward from this, we are always going to keep stock of a pantry, and we never ever did it. And now we're going to do that. We're going to buy some new equipment in for downstairs, some shelves that are high up in case it floods, and we're going to have an excess of food and goods and washing up liquid and clothing, detergent and all of that kind of thing. I just think that's really important. Oh, so for those people who didn't prepare, it's like, okay, this is what you've got to do. Like, first of all, you've got to get your basics in, which are potatoes, rice, and noodles and pasta and that stuff. So when I was 20 years ago, when I first started buying and investing in property, I went through a month of living on beans and potatoes. And the reason I got potatoes is you can make chips, you can make kind of crisp kind of things, you can make jacket potatoes, you can make roast potatoes, you can do all sorts of things with potatoes. And then beans, little tins of tuna, you can do all sorts of stuff with that. And I lived on that for about a month. So from experience 20 years ago, we lived on that, and pasta and rice, very, very cheap, just some cheap sauce. Here in Spain, tomato frito, but it could be tin tomatoes or whatever. But stuff like that would work. But it's like, you've got to get your basics in so you don't starve to death. Now, if you are starving to death, like it might happen, you need to go to Dr. Fun on Facebook and check out his fasting group. I know for a fact I can go for 3 days without food, and I can eat a meal, and I can go for another 2 days without food. I know for a fact, so I've done it at the end of last year because I was fasting to lose weight, and it worked. I put a little bit back on now to eat loads of chocolate. But I know that you can do that, but you need to know how to do that. So if you're in that situation, and I pray that, let me rephrase that, I don't pray because I don't believe in God. I hope that nobody is in that situation. But if you can do, you need to learn how to do that. But you should have some basic foods that just need you to boil, put in your kettle and boil it, pour boiling water on it, put a stove on, have a fire where you can boil a pan full of pasta, whatever. That would work. And then it's like, what can you build on top? So if you've got pasta and some tuna, you can put tuna in the pasta with a tomato sauce. That's fine, you get through it. So it's just about having more stuff to put into that you can base on. So you've got some base foods. Okay, so it has been colder than normal here. We've got some firewood downstairs, but we haven't used it. We're using electric heaters just to keep us warm. Normally we'd just put the fire on in the front room. But we want to hold on to that in case the electricity goes out and we need to use that firewood. It's crazy that we're having these conversations in 2020, but here we are. And me and my wife are both in agreement that that's exactly what we should do. But it's colder than normal, means we can't go out. But if this had happened in summer, we probably wouldn't have even noticed, because we hang out around the house with a swimming pool all the time in summer. So much more for us to be able to do. Let's just talk about how lucky we are for a second, because I think this bit's really important. And it's really easy to forget. Everybody's so worried about everything, from finances to food, to paying your electricity, paying your rent and your mortgage. Everybody's worried about that, and I totally get it. But here we are in 2020. We've got instant access to the news, and regardless of how fake that news is or how biased that news is, you've got access to it. You've got access to Twitter and Facebook and Netflix and Disney Plus and the internet and Google and Facebook and YouTube. And all this stuff for entertainment. You know, I've been playing on the Xbox a lot. 47, I still play games. Why not? I think it's just started raining again. But like, how lucky are we in the lockdown? You know, we're not in 1918 anymore, where we didn't have any of that. You know, we're very, very lucky, and I think we should be grateful and remind ourselves just how lucky we are. I was saying this to a friend of mine earlier, who was, you know, having a joke with me, because I'm like, you know, how hard it is. And it's like, let me get this right. You're there in your villa in Spain with all this electronic equipment and the internet, all the toys that your little one needs, all the laptops that you need, everything that you need, you know, and you're saying about how hard it is. And I think just putting it back into perspective, it really helped. It's starting to rain again. And then just to finish up on this, by the way, the online shopping is completely useless here. So I know we talked about it a little bit before, but it's like from an online shopping point of view, it's just really hard. And yeah, perspective is key. You're absolutely right. And actually, do you know what? If no shopping turns up, like, what hardship is it? We have to go on to fruit juice or water to drink. You know, we've got all this other food and flavoured food and all of that kind of thing. It's no big deal, is it? Do you know what I mean? And getting that in perspective, we're in 2020. We've got access to all this entertainment. And it is hard, and loneliness, and I'm not seeing anybody other than my family. Like, how hard is that? You know, how easy is that? You know, it's crazy when you put it in that perspective. I feel sorry for people who are stuck in on their own, because that human interaction, that just playing with someone, cuddling up with your daughter, and all that kind of stuff is really important. Just that human touch is really important. And for those people who haven't got that, I think that's the harder bit that they're struggling with. So, in terms of, you know, I have conversations every single day with people. I pick up the phone and I speak to people. And I'm a texting kind of guy. I speak with clients every day. I speak with other people every day. Normally I just prefer to text, but actually getting on the phone and speaking to them has worked really well. But you just got to manage that the best you can. And the light is at the end of the tunnel. I'm hearing rumours of the UK looking at a 3-month lockdown. The reason there's going to be a 3-month lockdown is because they didn't do it right in the bloody first place, quite frankly. Which is ridiculous, but our government is like everyone else's government, freaking useless. Whereas we've done the lockdown, we've been in it for 3 weeks and we've done it right. And actually those numbers went up and now they're just plateauing at the top. Give another 10 days, those numbers of new cases will start to drop. And so we'll peak and then we're coming out of it. So, you know, we're very fortunate for that, really. But how do you think the US response has been? So dreadful to begin with. There seems to be, so I'm on the outside, of course, I'm English. Live in Spain, and I'm on the outside looking in, so I can only see what I see on the news and what's on Twitter. I think Trump's made so many mistakes by ignoring it, telling everybody everything's fine. I think they've been slow on getting ventilators. I think they've been slow on getting the personal protective equipment, but so has the UK. And while everybody else knew what was going on, China, Iran, and Italy, and I don't trust China's numbers, by the way, just to clarify that. I definitely don't trust the UK numbers. And, you know, I appreciate there's just a level of difficulty getting those numbers correct in terms of new cases, but like, we're just ignoring them. we're just ignoring it. There's no testing going on. Like 0.1% of our NHS has been tested right now. Frontline nurses just not getting tested. But the US is way behind. But the US is like, can I quote Yashimoto from World War II? It's like we've woken a sleeping dragon. I think that's the saying. You know Yashimoto from who dropped the bombs on Pearl Harbor. I feel we've woken a sleeping dragon. I think that was the saying. When America wakes up and gets into action, it's off, and it's it can be very efficient when it realises, this is actually the situation, and off it goes. And I think by now it probably has realised, as has the UK. But the problem with the UK is they're trying to hide it. It's like, guys, don't hide. If you make mistakes, don't hide them. Just, guys, we made a mistake. It's fucked up. This is what we're doing. We're going to put this right. Instead, they try and hide everything. And I disagree with that level of politics. It's wrong. I make mistakes. We admit them. We fuck up all the time. And from those mistakes is where the learnings come, and we should share them so other people get to learn from them as well. But that will do me because my voice is starting to go a little bit. I need a drink. I'm going to go live in my Facebook group, by the way, because we need to do the property cash flow show. It should have been yesterday, but I just couldn't be bothered. So I'm going to go live on that in about 5 minutes in my Facebook group. Other than that, thank you for joining us. Just saying yes, admit it, fix it, and move forward. As a species, we need to learn from that. This concept of hiding stuff, it's just, I don't get it. You know, in disaster films, where you see the government try and hide it from the public, you know, an asteroid's coming, the government hide it from the public because the public will panic. Let us panic. Let us make our own decisions on what's going on, and let us know all the data. Why do we hide it? And I used to watch these disaster films and go, that's not realistic. And here we are in a disaster film, and the government's hiding everything. It's like, what are you doing? It just doesn't make sense to me. Let me just see one last comment. Let us decide. I agree, absolutely. All right, hope that's useful. We'll catch up with you on the next one. Please stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care. See ya.